people freak out about AI taking everybody's job. Right now, where AI is at, it just makes your job easier. If your team's converting marketing new patients at 60%, and you can get a robot to do it at 80%, and the patients still come in, they still buy treatment, which is one of the things that we track, then why wouldn't you do that? Welcome back to another episode of My Dental Playbook. I'm your co-host, Gary Bird. Along with my friend, Dr. Blake Hamblin, we're going to be diving deep into his office and how he's doubled his collections in just under 12 months. We're also going to be talking about his journey to a $10 million practice and what he needs to do to get there. You're going to see behind the curtain, and Dr. Blake is amazing at sharing the hard details that you need to know so you can do the same too. If you want to grow, this is the show for you. Stay tuned. All right, we are live for another episode, and today we're going to be talking about AI, specifically AI Receptionist, and Dr. Hamblin's on the cutting edge of this. Like, he was one of the first people I knew that implemented AI at the front desk, and it was a little bit of a dumpster fire the first time you did it. I'm not going to lie. I was like, holy smokes, this is scary. This was last year. And you just kept, I love Dr. Blake that you just are like, okay, let's try this. And you just kept reiterating. And now you have it taking 100% of your phone calls. Now, before we go any deeper, or I'll say this, 100% of your new patient phone calls. Okay, so I'll say that. Now, before we jump into this, make sure that you check out our sponsor down below, Cherry. If you're not using Cherry, we highly recommend them. They're not only a sponsor, but they're somebody that Dr. Blake has been using for years. And almost all of my clients are using Cherry. And if you don't know how to use them properly, you are missing out on treatment. And we have a whole training on that, all that good stuff. Make sure you check out the link below. We have special pricing, so that way you don't have to pay as much in fees to them. And they're an amazing sponsor and partner. So let's jump into this AI. So let's just start with your journey, and we'll talk about it, why you're letting a robot take all of your new patient calls. And you see a lot of new patients. You see 100, 130, I think, last month, something like that, new patients. So let's start at the beginning. So you were very early, like right when AI came out at the reception, you put it into place. Walk me through why you did that and what your thoughts were there and kind of how that went.
Had the same problem that most practices have of people having too many roles and responsibilities, especially at the front desk. And so thankfully, we have never had the problem of our phones don't get answered, just simply because I am the dictator that will not allow that to happen. Right. Like my team knows that not answering the phone is not an option. I'll work by myself before we let the phone not answer. I will answer the phone before it. Right.
I've had Dr. Blake answer the phone before. I've listened to the calls.
I believe in the importance of answering phones, and I've experienced the value of that it can create. And so we just frankly had too many people up front that were saying, hey, I don't have time to do this because I'm answering the phone, or I'm on the phone for this reason. And so I decided to set out to find out if this AI thing could actually work. Worked with a company that I was really excited about, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. We had a really bad experience, not from the company, but just from the AI itself. Like 3-4 minute pauses on a phone call. And I'm like, I'm listening to this on.
That's one of the things about being early on technology, is just like, you have to work through some of the problems, and that was an issue.
Yeah. So I was auditing some of these phone calls on Trackable and listening to these phone calls, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. And I reached out to you, Gary. I was like, surely you're working on this. Come on. Like, I know you're working on something, right? And you said, yeah, I am, but it's not ready yet. And I just kept beating down your door until finally something was ready.
Every month, like, just do it. And I'm like, well, it's not ready. Just put it on. Let's just see. Yeah, just put it on. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh man. So yeah, and we measured this. So in Trackable, I can see everybody's AI agents, and there's tons of them out there. The average AI actually converts new patients.
Wow,
at 30%.
I didn't know that.
That's the honest truth.
Dang.
Yeah, I've been measuring this for some time. It's absolute dumpster fire. And I understand why, because most of the AI agents are just people who are like, hey, we're going to solve this problem of missed calls, but they're not thinking through the biggest hole in that is new patients that you're losing. And if you're only converting at 30%, it's like you're just maybe a little bit worse, a little bit better than voicemail. And it just doesn't make sense at that point to have that in place. if you're converting that low. So what we did is we went to the drawing board and said, okay, why is this only converting at 30%? Well, it's because of scripting. And then so we said, we're going to make an AI agent. I don't care what the doctor has to say or about what you want as the scripting. We're going to put the scripting that we know that works. And so far, that's been converting right in the neighborhood of around 80, 75, 85% for you, which is really good. Industry average is right around 60%. And we've just recently opened that up to all new patients. So why did you go from, okay, we're going to use AI, let's do it. And why are you comfortable now? Like, okay, let's open it up to everybody, all of our new
so
patients.
To go back to what you were talking about, the scripting was the biggest thing. And with the company that I had used, they allowed you to kind of train the AI. And I spent a lot of time doing that. But unfortunately, like it just kept breaking. And I don't know if I don't think I'm incredibly smart, but I think I was breaking the AI with the amount of detail I was giving it. So if it says this, do this. If it says that, do that. And
then it starts hallucinating.
And so I knew because of our relationship, I was like, you say the same things that I would say. And so if Gary's going to build it, I trust Gary to that it's going to do the things that I would do or our team would do.
Well, and I'll say this, and I know I said, hey, we're not trying to take advice from the doctors. What I mean by that is that most doctors put filters on their scripting. So they're like, well, I don't want this kind of person coming in. So say this. And if you train an AI agent to do that, it'll be really good at filtering people out. And that's what's happened is all these AI models are trained on the back of doctor scripting, which ends up weeding people out. Now, you're different, Dr. Blake. You're like, open up the top of the funnel as wide as we can, and then we'll figure it out from there. And that's what we've done with AI agent is it's trying to schedule, unless it's somebody who just can't be seen by you, obviously. So like if a Medicaid patient or maybe they want braces or something like that, obviously that's not going to go through. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to call that out.
The question you asked about why we decided to go 100% in. Well, it started with, we dipped our toe in. So we started with, okay, it's just going to answer phone calls after hours on these days. And then it was after hours. And then we kept seeing that it was closing new patients at 75, 80%. And my team evermore is saying, we wish we didn't have to answer the phone. and frankly, like my model, the way we've built it is I want to have less team members that are performing at a higher level than be overstaffed. And I know some models are overstaffed and just have people do these, but I would rather pay someone a little bit more to do the job of two people that I really enjoy being around because they're a go-getter and they're a hustler versus having so many attitudes and different things to deal with.
Yeah, I love that. And the way I look at it too, I know is people freak out about AI taking everybody's job. Right now, where AI is at, it just makes your job easier. So if your team's converting marketing new patients at 60%, and you can get a robot to do it at 80%, and the patients still come in, they still buy treatment, which is one of the things that we track, then why wouldn't you do that? Because that allows your team to focus on the patients that are in front of them. And we just actually launched this with one of your friends that we work with, and they're in more of a rural area. It's more of a country area, I'll say that. So I wasn't sure if it was going to work because some people are more agreeable with AI and technology in like big cities, like where you're at. But it's actually performing really well there. And so, we just had an elderly lady that called. She had dental anxiety and she scheduled through the AI agent. They missed the call, scheduled, came in right away, did $2,500 worth of treatment, and then scheduled $2,500 of treatment in the future. They wouldn't have got that patient in. So I think it's going to work for everybody. But one problem that I know that we're still facing with you is that basically the 10 or 20% that aren't scheduling are because of their emergencies and they want to come in right away. So walk through how we're going to solve that for you.
I was just like, that ain't happening again. But no, my goal, I would much rather scale backwards and say, hey, Gary, hey, Ryan, like this isn't working because you guys are overflowing our schedule with patients versus missing a call because we actually do have openings, but it doesn't read it that way, right? And so we're working on creating basically a ghost column, for lack of better terms, that isn't actually even a real chair in our office. But I think eventually the goal would be to have that be the backup. So it's going to first read the columns that we give it to be able to schedule, but down the road, hopefully, if those columns are full, we still are quote unquote available. Because at the end of the day, I don't have to see the patient that day. And myself and Dr. Farrell, and maybe even in the future another associate, we may not be able to see them or be able to treat them, but we can see them. We can diagnose them. We can get them out of pain. We can do the things to where they feel integrated into our practice, that they say yes to treatment at some point.
Yep, I love that. If you can get it to schedule those emergency patients and just get them in right away, and then you can kind of play Tetris afterwards. So some people aren't comfortable with that. Why is that, Dr. Blake? Why are offices not comfortable with that, getting emergencies in and kind of just explaining to them like, hey, we're going to get you in and then we'll figure it out from there?
I think just by nature, we feel like we've got to give so much to every patient. And if we see a patient, I mean, how many times do we diagnose treatment and the patient's like, all right, so we're gonna do it today, and you've got like 4 other patients, you're like, oh, man, I really just can't do that today. You know what I mean? And we feel bad about that. But you don't go to your cardiologist and get a heart transplant the same day that you came in and got diagnosed. And I'm all for same day treatment, but I also think that if we can be the practice that says yes to the patient of, can I come in 30 minutes? Yes. Then you win.
Yep. I love it. Well, amazing. If you're not using this yet, it's $299. It's kind of like a no-brainer. I don't see any reason you wouldn't use it for at least missed calls. Industry average, 35% of calls go missed. So that's during normal business hours. Now, let's talk about the future of what this bad boy is going to be. Because this is, to be honest with you, this is like the foundation part that we had to do. Like the ugly part that we had to do is the voice answering calls. But the future is text messaging. Existing patients, they don't really want to call you. Like, people don't want to pick up the phone. People want to text. And so what this AI agent's going to be able to do is it's going to be able to text patients, and it's going to be able to do outbound. So in marketing, you have inbound and outbound marketing, right? So outbound marketing is where you have somebody who's reaching out to people. And one of the hardest things to do in every practice is to get your team reaching out to all of your unscheduled treatment, following up with people who didn't schedule their recare, unused benefits. And we just met with somebody that we did a podcast with, and we were talking through like, everybody wants their team to do these things, but nobody's team does it because nobody wants to sit on the phone and just call people. So what this is going to be able to do is it's going to be able to text patients based on where they're at in their patient journey. Did they schedule an appointment and they no-showed for it, and your team couldn't reach them? It's going to text them, hey, we really missed you at this appointment, and then they will handle it a particular way. Unscheduled treatment, same thing. Unused benefits, same thing. And you'll be able to customize each of those. Like, maybe if it's unscheduled treatment, you send patient financing with it and you get them pre-approved, or et cetera, et cetera. So that's the future. And that's the actual part that I think when it's solved will absolutely change practices forever.
You keep solving all of my problems. Like, literally, that's the conversation I'm having with my team right now. And we had close to $100,000 of treatment that was on the schedule that fell off last month, and we had the best month we've ever had. And I told my team, I was like,
so wait. So you had your best month. I just want to understand this. And you had, I think you did over 500,000.
We collected close to 50.
Okay, so you did 550, best month ever, and you had $100,000 of treatment, just like recent treatment.
We had
that just kind of slipped through the cracks.
By numbers, it shows how much treatment was on the schedule. It's called unscheduled treatment, which is kind of confusing. It's treatment that was scheduled that fell off, and then it shows you how much of that was recovered.
Oh,
and so we historically, last year I looked back, and we've historically recovered 42% of that treatment. And I told the person who's now going to be in charge of that until the AI does it, I was like, even if we captured 20 or 30% of that more of that treatment, it would radically change our practice. But we just don't have anybody that's owned that job Like that's part of their role in our practice. And so now we do. And so I'm interested to see what will change for that. Again, like 10% makes a huge difference.
You had 100,000 scheduled that dropped off. That is insane. I didn't realize it was that big, and I didn't realize it was treatment that was already scheduled and ready to go, and it fell off. So you could have hit 600,000 if or maybe like
that's the mental game that you just can't get into. It's like if you look too far ahead, you just get depressed because you're like, man, we had all this on there.
I know. And you need to remember to celebrate because it wasn't that long ago that you couldn't even.
Yeah, that wouldn't have even been in the realm.
300,000 was a big deal.
So I'm super excited about it because it's not going to be, and to clarify, and correct me if I'm wrong, I could be speaking out of turn here, but the agent is going to be able to text Gary and say, hey, Gary, we saw that your appointment got canceled on Tuesday. We'd love to reschedule you. And then when you respond, it's going to have a conversation and it's going to actually schedule. It's not just, hey, Gary, we saw you missed. Call us when you're ready type of deal.
100%. Yeah. So just so everybody's aware, this is coming this year and what it's going to be able to do. And to my knowledge, nobody can do this right now in dental. There's AI agents that can do this outside of dental. But the reason it can't do it inside of dental is because of the way the PMSs are structured, everybody knows integration, and it's just a nightmare. And then you need that context. So you can't have an intelligent conversation with the patient if you don't have the context of the PMS and if you don't have the data segmented. And so we have a CRM that sits on the PMS that segments the patient journey. And so it's going to actually be able to have a conversation just like you would with ChatGPT, but based on the data that's in front of it. And that's different because what a lot of people have right now, they have automations. So it's like, if the patient does this, then do this, and which is cool. It's better than nothing. But the problem with that is it breaks really quickly because if the patient doesn't respond or the patient does something else, then it doesn't know to send an email again or a text or whatever. So this will be able to have a conversation with the patient. And the goal, I'm actually working on this with SMC. I'm building an SDR that's a sales development rep in the marketing world. That's what we use to follow up with our leads and things like that. And I'm working on building my voice into an AI agent, meaning it's going to be able to communicate like me and answer like me. It's training on all of our podcasts, those kind of things, all my Facebook posts. And then I'm going to have it send texts to doctors as they come into our funnel and be able to say, hey, how was that last resource? Oh, it was great. Or, oh, I haven't looked at it yet. Okay, well, when you do look at it, this would be the next resource that I'd recommend that you look at. And as I add new resources, it'll add things to the brain. So we're working on it on both ends now. It's a little bit easier on the SMC side because we use like HubSpot and everything integrates, and it just like, it's a click of a button and things integrate. Dental, unfortunately, is not that way. So that's coming this year. Like that text messaging is coming this year.
You can probably replace those web bots that like when you log on, it's like chat with us type of deal. You could probably just plug that in and it'll be able to operate pretty well.
Yeah. It'll go on every single website. You'll just be able to have a conversation with it. So new patients, existing patients, and then as existing patients come through it, if they're chatting with it, it's just like, okay, trying to move them to the next segment of the patient journey, right? So it's like, if you've come into the office, you got your exam, x-ray, and cleaning, there was some treatment that was recommended, but you didn't move forward with it, it's going to move you to that next
with the right verbiage.
Step.
Yeah.
With the right verbiage. Awesome. Yes, correct. Yep. So we're just going to, literally what I'm doing is I'm hopping on and with the trackable team, and we're just talking through each step. Okay, how would you respond to this? Okay, it's like this, like this, like this. And you just start to train the AI model, and you just do that over and over and over again.
When is this coming out? I need this.
This year. Like the first, like it's just going to be step by step. First, it'll be like, well, more than likely it's going to be, okay, let's just get the text messaging working, and so it can communicate. And then once that happens, then it's, what is the next biggest bottleneck? It's probably unscheduled treatment. Like that's the number one thing that will move the needle the most. So then it's just like, okay, well, how do you get unscheduled treatment to come back in? It's just like, well, you do this, 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 and this. Okay. And it will be able to get people pre-approved on Cherry, right? So it's just like, send the link, get pre-approved. If they're not, and then we'll have to work through like the biggest problems that we're going to run into is like, okay, how are people using their PMSs? Because that's another big thing about dental is that every PMS is used differently and every team member uses it differently. Like they put the information in the different places. So just going through and solving those things. But I mean, those are all solvable
that's huge,
problems.
Man. I'm so excited to be able to let y'all use it on me.
I love working with you because you're like, okay, we're going to do it. And there's going to be things that break and fail. And it's like, okay, let's figure it out.
I love it. That's awesome.
Awesome, man. This is a great episode. Thanks for talking through this. And thanks for just being open about your journey about it.
Thanks for having me.